All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. This is the Dialogue with Lady Raj, and tonight we'll be talking about some critical conversations that we need to have before we get to the altar or before we get married. And so, tonight I have no other person than Mrs. Elizabeth Owusu. Can everybody hear me, please? Can anyone hear me at all? Babe, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can, but your voice is quite down.
Oh, really? Okay, is it better now? Is it better? Wow, that's serious. Hello, Mrs. Osubwedi, can you hear me? Oh, hello. Oh goodness. Okay. All right. So I don't know what's happening with my mouthpiece, but I'll fix it shortly. So we'll begin with a prayer as always, because this is a Christian platform, like I always say. So let's begin with a prayer. Father, we thank you tonight. We ask that you come and have your way and you help us to understand more and more. Let us leave here better than we came. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, thank you once again. Tonight we are talking about critical conversations that we need to have before we say I do. And it's important because, like I always issue this disclaimer here on the dialogue. I don't claim to be an expert on marriage or anything like that. My guests, unless the person is a professional, will let you know. But if they are not, to let you know that we are not experts in that particular field. But by the grace of God, we have some experience. And I always say that if somebody close to you or you know someone who has an experience, you don't need to go through the same thing. And so Mrs. Osubwedi has been married for a while, and she has some experience in marriage, and so have I. And we have some other people here who have also been married for a while. So we'll all share ideas tonight, and I believe that it will be a very wonderful section. So Mrs. Osubwedi, she's committed to celebrating and developing and inspiring women and adults, young adults, as well as corporate training needs with regards to entrepreneurship and customer service. She's a firm believer in Christ, and she is an inspiration to a lot of young women, especially me. And she has a master's degree in business administration and a BBA from Methodist University. Um, Without much ado this evening, I want us to welcome our guest, Mrs. Elizabeth Owusu Boadi. Mrs., can you hear me, please? Hello, Mrs. Owusu Boadi, can you hear me, please? Wow, hello. Mrs., can you hear me? Please, if you can hear me, drop 111 in the chat box. If you can hear me, please drop 111 in the chat box. But is it clear enough, please? Wow, the volume is very low. Um. Okay. So.
Can you hear me, please? I'm back. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yes, I can hear you, Mrs.
Okay, all right.
I can hear. But can you hear me clearly enough, please?
I can hear you.
You can hear me.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. Babe, at your end, is it clear enough now? Mr. Ebwa? Okay. Okay. So we'll just get on with it. We'll just get on with it. Okay, so Mrs. Thank you so much for coming once again.
Hmm.
It's always a pleasure to have you. Um, Mrs. Please speak and let me hear you.
Hello.
Yes. Can
Is
you
it okay?
can you guys hear Mrs. please? Can you hear her, please? Okay, Mrs. Please speak.
Okay. All right, please. Okay, so good evening, Mrs. Yabwa, and thank you for
Good
having me once
evening,
again
ma'am.
to speak,
Thank you for
my
coming.
experience. Let me put it that way. And good evening to everybody here. I believe we are
Mrs.
all
Please, sorry to interrupt. They
sure.
said it's quite faint.
It's faint.
Yes,
Okay. I don't know if it's the app, but I'm screaming. Okay. All
you
right. I'll match
are.
my voice.
Yes,
I'll
macho
match
your
my
voice
voice
for us.
more. Yeah. Okay.
And
Is it better
maybe
if we
you
can
can
learn
bring the
manipulate better
mouthpiece
now?
closer.
Is it better now?
Is it, please let me see your comments in the comment. Okay,
Yeah.
so Vera Norman said it's clear now. So maybe you
Okay.
can keep it this way for us.
Mm. Okay. All right, please. Thank you. So,
All
good
right.
evening once again, and I believe
Good
we are going to
evening,
have
Mrs.
some good time here, and I'll also be on standby to learn from some of you as well,
Of course, of
because I'm still in
course.
a relationship, the relationship of marriage. We are all learning.
Yes, so
So yeah. So I'll quickly move in. I believe relationships, we one way or the other, we all are into some kind of relationship. It could be a friendly relationship, a male to male relationship. It could be a dating relationship, looking forward into marriage. It could be even mother father, yeah, mother mother and father, like a parental relationship. And in every relationship there are some questions you want to ask. There are some conversations you would want to have. Okay. Is so you know where you want to go with that kind of relationship. What is the expectation? What is your role to play in that kind of relationship that you are in now? And as we are looking to into the that kind of relationship as a marital one, I would say that for the first thing that you need to the first conversation you need to have is should surround your beliefs or your faith. So for me, um before we got married, I was a Catholic before I joined a charismatic church. And um he's always known I've been in a Catholic church, and then I switched. When I switched, we were just friends. We hadn't even moved into um anything serious. And then, but he has always been a Pentecostal, and um you need to know what once you decide that you are going to get married, then you need to know what happens in that area. And so for me, I remember my dad my dad said we have to marry in the Catholic church. And so after doing 5 months counseling in SRM, I had to find we were trying to find ways and means of going back to do the Catholic counseling. And a lot of
wow.
things go into, yes. We were actually on the verge of starting, but I thought of the whole time, like, no, I can't do this. You see, if you are going to marry a Catholic person, and you are not Catholic, you are not Catholic, you need to understand that you are going to go through catechism, and then you are going to be baptized. You will get confirmed, you'll be confirmed, and then you will receive the Holy Communion, and before you go through the Holy Matrimony, you will do all this. So it's important that you actually talk about your faith. What goes on in your faith? What do you believe in? Does your spouse believe in God? Is the critical point, because if the person is not a God-fearing one, if the two, the Bible says that can two work together except they be agreed, Proverbs 17. You see, so if you really you do not discuss about your faith, if you do not discuss about what you believe in, it will be difficult for you to progress, and you always come back on some points of this misunderstanding. So that you cannot take away. Your belief and your faith, you need to discuss that. Now you need to know the purpose of this relationship. Where is this relationship getting us into? So for me, after we've been friends, we will talk, we will go to the movies. I mean, everything we are doing together. We didn't sleep together, please. We didn't have sex before marriage. Before you start thinking otherwise.
I
So,
Mrs.
but we will talk
let
late
me let
into
me
night.
even interrupt a little. So,
Yeah.
at what point in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
do we have these conversations? At what point? Because I believe that relationships are progressive.
Mm,
So it starts from, yeah, one point. Preferably, I
yeah.
will always say that it should start from friendship.
Friendship. Yeah.
So where you are getting to know each other, and slowly, but surely, and then it gets to a
You
point where
see,
you make your intentions
okay, so
that,
for the
yeah,
purpose of the discussion, I think we are in courtship, or we are dating, and we are moving into
courtship.
marriage. Okay.
Okay. So we are
And you
sure
see,
that you
yes,
are
we are
now
sure
sure
that
that
you
this is
know
the
the
person
person
you
at
want
some
to
point, but you
marry.
see, there are some people
Okay.
I know that they got married
Mm.
within 3 months.
Yo,
You understand? So
yo.
probably they might have even seen the person once or twice, and then it happened that things just fell in place for them, and within 6 months,
Mm.
5 months, 3 months, 1 year, they are getting married. And so
Mm.
getting to know the person through and through may not happen. You understand? But when we set off that, okay, this relationship, when the person says, okay, we are moving the relationship into a next level, which is marriage, okay, it means that marriage, you say, our real kind worry. So you need to have some form of information at your disposal for you to make the decision that I want to go on with this marriage. If it's a normal friendship, if Mr. Yabwa is my friend, we may be talking, we may talk on phone, but there are some conversations that really will not bother. I will not bother myself to ask. But when we say that, okay, we let's take this on another level, okay, and see how things go, then I must begin to ask some certain questions. Then we must begin to have some conversations. And it's important that the two of you are clear, you are truthful to each other. Mrs. Please, have I attempted your question?
Yes, please, you have. You have. So we
Okay.
have these conversations when we are sure that this is a relationship that is leading to marriage. We are
Leading into
ready
marriage,
to, yes, marry.
and you
Okay.
are ready to commit,
You are ready to
or
commit. All
you
right.
want to know if you want to commit.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. So, like I'm saying, you
Okay.
want to know the purpose of the relationship. So, we
Mm.
say we are taking it to the next level. If the next level is marriage, then okay. Then you're asking yourself, okay, so what is the expectation? If as we are going into marriage, what is your expectation of me when we get married? Because you see, when we are normal friends, when we are dating, there are things I wouldn't really do, and it would really not be a bother. But when we get into the relationship, when we get married, what will be a bother to you? For instance, when we were preparing, when we decided to take our relationship to the next level, one question I asked my husband was, what do you want in the marriage? And he said that he just wants to be happy. So I asked him, what would I do to make you happy? When you say you want to be happy, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
You see, and he is saying, okay, so I don't want to come home tired and you have complaints like you're nagging and all that. Okay, so you know what the person wants, and so then when the person has come and the person is tired, and yet sometimes now they will complain, because you would wait and let the person relax more, and then if even it's the following day or how much or whenever you think the person is more relaxed, then you go. So I know what he doesn't want. I know what he's expecting of me. He just wants to be happy in the marriage. So what is going to be my role in helping him to be happy in the marriage?
Wow. Mrs.
Yes.
Please, somebody just said they can barely hear.
Hey, Asamaba.
Is it just favor or Mrs. Can you hear me though?
I can hear you clearly.
And I can hear you clearly too, but it seems some of our listeners,
Mm. Or
babe,
maybe
are you
it's the app.
also
Pardon.
having the same issue?
If they can comment in the chat so that I know.
Yes, yes. They said the sound is faint too. Wow.
Hey, wow. Okay.
It's interesting.
Um,
Mr. Ebua, can you hear both of us clearly? Oh, wow. They said it's very faint.
very faint. Then maybe it's the apple
Mm,
because my
I'm
volume
surprised. I'm not
is
using an earpiece too, but I can hear.
myself. Myself, I'm not using my
Wow, what's
earpiece.
going on? Um,
Okay,
it
so let me start. So the first thing I'm trying to increase my volume. Okay, so the first thing I mentioned was talking about your faith, your beliefs, your faith. So if the person if the person is a Christian, or if the person is a Muslim, then what do you do? You need to know. And then maybe the church the person attends. What are the conditions? Okay, with regards the church, or yes, the church the person attends. Are you willing to join the person in his or her church? For me, we discussed, and I told my husband that me, I'm not going to go to Pentecost. I'm not saying Pentecost is not a good church, but I told him that I will be visiting his church. And so we already had that understanding. And so when if you see my husband coming to our church more, it's because we
mhm.
discussed it and he doesn't have a problem with it.
Okay.
So I have committed that the first Sunday of every month, because it's a communion month, we will try and go to Pentecost, his church. Then the rest will come to my church. I will come to my church. He can decide to go when any other Sunday. I don't mind. It's not a bother. But if he decides to come with me, hallelujah. So that is what happens. You really will have a smooth thing if you discuss certain things before you marry. It's not like now you are coming to okay, so are you now, will you be joining my church? No. Even okay, I'll get there. So I'll get there. Let me not jump it. I'll get there. So you need to discuss all these things so you know what is ahead of you. We all know what is expected of us, what we are supposed to do, what is going to happen, and then things will fall in place. We are not now going to argue, and then somebody will be angry, and if you don't take care, somebody is going to throw blows. Not at all. And then the second thing I mentioned was finding the purpose of the relationship. So now that you say you are taking the relationship to the next level, um, is it to marriage? Okay, in the marriage, what is expected of me? So we come to expectation as well. What is expected of me? Um, do you expect that? Okay, are we? Why do you want this marriage? So this marriage, is it because you want to have children? And then how many? The number of children you want to have, you see. So if you know the purpose of the relationship, then you come to the expectations of the relationship. So you want to have 4 children, but I want to have 2 children, so can we strike and make it 3 children? Talk about these things. If you don't talk about these things, the man wants 10 children, you the woman, you want only 3 children. And what is going to happen? Onyema, will you abort? You won't abort. And the man is not ready. The men are always not ready to do vasectomy. That is for another day. The men are always not ready to do
Hmm.
vasectomy, but they want
Yeah,
their women to take pills and other things for family planning.
that's another topic altogether.
You see, yes, but if you talk about it, for me, I have for all my three children, it's been CS, cesarean section, and um after I gave birth to my second one, I think after 10 months, I got pregnant again with my last born, and so we decided that we are not going to have children again because at that time it was risky because of the time period, the period the interval. So we decided that okay, I'm not going to have children again. But now I understand they can do even 4 or 5 CS. I don't want to risk my life. My life is precious. So we decided that we won't have that. And so we decided to do a family planning, tuber ligation, if you may want to read around it. So that is what we decided with our doctor to do. So there was an understanding. Okay. It's important that you communicate. The last time I think I mentioned it. If you don't communicate and have understanding on what the two of you want, you're always going to have a problem. When you see couples smiling, not that they don't have issues, not that they may not, there's no, they never have any conflict, but it's because they talk about it. It's because they talk about it. Please, Mrs. Please, can you check if they can hear me now? So I
Okay.
don't.
Some have sent me messages that they can hear clearly, and
Okay.
others are saying that it's very faint. So maybe
Okay,
it
maybe
could
we
be
may want to put the points in
differences
the
in
chat
network.
section for them.
Okay. So another thing is that you can, if you're having issues hearing clearly, you can just leave and then rejoin.
Maybe
Sometimes it
that will work.
helps. Yes. So please try that. If you're still having issues hearing, kindly leave and then rejoin. I'm sure it will be fine by the time you join. Thank you. If you just joined, this is the dialogue with Lady Raj, and this evening we are talking about some of the critical conversations we need to have before we say I do. That is before we get to the altar. And we have Mrs. Elizabeth Owusu, so I would really appreciate it if some of us could be dropping some of the points that she raises in the chat box, just for others who join later to be able to catch up. Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Please go on.
Okay. All right. Okay, so my next thing will be that in knowing the person, okay, um before I got married, I heard a story about one lady, a wedding that was cancelled. And it was actually on the wedding day that the wedding was cancelled, and it was bizarre. The story has it that
Wow.
so the lady, they were in a relationship, and then the gentleman said he worked at the bank, and they will talk. The lady, I mean, let me use the word, trusted the gentleman enough, and so they did everything. I think they had even done engagement because the wedding was cancelled on the wedding day, like yes, at the church. So on the wedding day, the gentleman was at the church auditorium waiting, and before, as the lady was also approaching, I understand there's another lady that came with a child, and it happens that the gentleman had a daughter with this lady. Now, that is not even the main issue. You know, they happen. But the main issue is that apparently the gentleman was a security guy at the bank, and the lady was a big time woman, like Oyinijuma. She was okay. Me, when
Wow.
I was discussing with my husband on this topic, Let me tell you what he what he told me. Tell them to play detective like you did.
Hey.
Yes, me. I went to his office. At that time, he was with Talo. I went to his office. I think that day I was on leave. No, I didn't take the leave because of him. No, but I was on leave and I had if you remember, exotic trends was at Accra Mall. Then I
Yes,
checked.
yes.
So that
I
was where
check.
I used to go and have my hair done. So I went there to have my hair done, and after that I was like, ah, boy, we cry also or you will tell you okay. Then I went to Basilos. I ordered sandwich or something, and then I walked. You know, you can walk. You can just walk to Talo. It's not far. So I just walked, and when I got, I didn't call him. He didn't know I was even coming. Like it was not part of my agenda card for him to know. So when I got to the entrance, the main entrance, I called him and I told him to come to the main gate. And he said, "Why?" I said, somebody has something for you, so you come to the main gate." Then when he came, he saw me. He
Hey,
was like,
in your
"Ah,
FBI, Juma Ketwa now, yeah, you.
eh." No, listen. When he got the job, me, I knew about it, but you see, I also want to be sure that you are there, that you work there. Sometimes it's a yeah, sometimes it's good. You see, just before you get surprised and you go and the person is a security at Taloyo.
Hey, Charlie.
You see, it's good in knowing the person. Sometimes you need to do these things. Sometimes that's why they tell you to get the person angry to know how the person will react. It's not like maybe you want to just do, but you want to know so that later on you know when you know how to treat the person. You don't intentionally upset the person. It's important that you some of these things are done. Like you should do get to know where the person works. Cause around the dark, it won't do anything. You don't have to cook. You
Mm.
buy what meat pie and drink and go. Oh, na me trim na me say me bet you. It's nice. Well, the person know, the person may not know. It's between you and us. Yeah, you see, it's just yeah, yeah. Somebody may ask, what if the person is outside? You may not know. You will only pray. But if you can, you could just try it. But like I'm saying, not just with the workplace. In other their temperaments, get to know who the how the person behaves. And so me, I've heard several times people say that when you take somebody to the restaurant, watch how they treat the waiters and the waitresses. It will tell you how they will treat you.
Hmm. Hmm.
The first time I went to my mother-in-law's house, it was the first day. I think that I remember that day very well because it was the first time we had ladies only. So right after that, I went to I came to my mother-in-law's house. She had
And you are
prepared
not
fufu.
married yet.
No, no,
You are
no,
not married
no,
yet.
no.
Okay.
It was the first time I was being introduced to them.
Oh, okay.
So when I went, she had prepared fufu. You will tell me obey rabawundi, but me, I ate everything. Me bonkasi. I
That's
ate
right.
everything. Why did I do that? My mother told me say me krasini mako be feel na me but I had my own intentions. I knew what I was doing. I wanted her to know that
Yeah.
aduane na enye the crampa medi. And let me tell you,
Yep.
after that, do you know what the mother told my husband? She said, "Oh, I am an entamra."
Wow.
You understand? You may want to be the lady or the gentleman and you say, "Oh, mindi," but you don't know how they will take it. So if men yet to say me nkodi ni nyina men ko bonkase, but oh dear, eat some, take water, drink. There are some of us that will go and then they will give us water and then they will say, "Oh, mpatwe." No, if your partner comes to your mother's house, how would you want them to behave? You understand? These are things that you need to observe. These are things that you need to do. These are things that you need to discuss so that you don't offend anybody. Into Opa before you go, don't you find out how is your mom like? You see, how is your mom? Me, if you ask me how my mom like, I'll tell you how my mom is. And that's why I'm saying that we need to be truthful at every point in time during these conversations, during the time that we decide that we want to get married, because these are critical times. Because for me, I always recently I told someone that if my husband had told me certain things in their family, you see, it helps you target your prayers well. It helps you target your prayers well. Because for me, if I knew certain things in my husband's family, I would have
You
targeted
would
my
have dealt
prayers
with
in
them.
some other way.
Yeah.
You understand? I would have targeted my prayers in some other way. It will be just good, and it will be good for the two of us. Say we will discuss and you'll be truthful. I'm not saying my husband lied. I didn't ask.
Mm.
And maybe he
Mm.
thought it wasn't really necessary for me to know. But let me tell you this. When we were about few days for us to we had I think we had just done counseling, and before we actually do them take like get the two things done, the engagement and then wedding. I have a daughter. So I told him, have you told your people that I have a daughter? And he was like, oh, it's not. No. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Don't, because listen, Ghana for the so worry phone, especially their accounts. So me, you are
Hmm.
okay. But I don't know how, because I don't know
Your
how
family will
when my
take
daughter
it.
comes in, how she'll be treated. And I need to know. Because one way or the other, I will encounter your sisters, I will encounter your brother, I will encounter your mom, I will encounter your dad. I need to know how they are taking it. Then I know how to manage the situation when it comes. He wasn't going to talk. He wasn't me, my husband, he's like that. See, baby, are you okay? I'm like, Masa, if you don't do this, we are not going on with this marriage. Then he was like, okay. So he went to tell his mother. I think one Sunday morning, because I wasn't having it. So he had to tell his mom one Sunday morning. So I think right after church, or no, even before I came to church, I called and I asked him, did you tell her? What did she say? She said, oh, but it's okay, because you know why it's okay? Because the mother had actually raised three stepchildren.
Wow.
Yes.
Hmm.
I didn't even know, because for me, I thought they are six. Because when
Hmm.
you come to the house, you wouldn't know that there's a stepchild.
Hmm.
So I had to, if I hadn't put, I wouldn't have known. And when
Yeah,
my,
that's
my, my
true.
daughter goes to her, she treats her like part of her grandchildren. Her actual, let me
All
say, her
other
actual
children.
grandchildren.
Yeah.
Is because she's had an experience like that. But there are some people
Hmm.
who don't like step things. And so
Yeah.
you need to know.
Hmm.
If you don't have these conversations, you will encounter issues and you will interpret things in different ways, and they may not be as they are.
That's true. That's true. Mrs. Sorry to interrupt, but could you please take the mouth speak maybe closer to your mouth?
It's
Because
actually on my mouth.
I can hear. Ejubi says she's struggling to hear.
Oh,
Ejubi, can
yeah,
you
send me.
please leave and then come back and let's see if it works?
Should I should leave and come?
No, not you, not you, please.
Okay.
Not you. For those struggling to hear. Okay, Mrs. Just before you move on, when we
Yes, please.
started, you remember I asked you at what point in the relationship we talk about these things,
Mm-hmm.
and then you spoke. I mean, but there was a question. I want us to clear that before we move on. Is that fine, please?
Okay, yes, please.
All right. So Samuel Mensah asked. So does this mean that there are stages you have to move the relationship through? What are these stages? And what are the indicators that you've gotten to one stage or the other? Did you get that, Mrs.?
Yes, I did. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
really, there are stages in relationships. I'm sure Samuel has friends that even he's a male, so let me say that even normal male friends that they started like classmates. Okay, so we all went to school and then we're classmates, and then you find out that this person you like this person more than maybe the others. So the person gets closer. They say the platonic stage, and then you get to the actual you have the acquaintance stage, you have the platonic stages and all that. And so in a male female relationship is like that. So you will start as normal, you will get to know the person, you become acquaintances. Let me start from there. And then maybe for whatever conditions, situations, events that bring you together often, you realize that now you talk more, you exchange numbers, and so you will talk more. As you talk more, feelings will begin to develop. And so maybe now you are talking more, you are doing anajiyede, or you are doing free after three
Free
or
night
free after
calls.
one, free night calls. You
Please,
see, you're
by
talking,
the
you're
way, Miss
talking.
Owusu Boadi works for, she works with MTN. That is
So
why
you are
she's
doing
busy
free after
selling
three and all
MTN
those things.
services to us.
Oh, man, yes, sir. You understand? So you are moving. And then you get to the point where you realize that you spend most of your time with this person. Okay. And the person may even know you are comfortable telling the person some of maybe some experiences you've had, maybe some things you want to do. Let me tell you one. So my husband wanted to buy okay, he actually wanted to move from his parents' house where he lived before we got married. And we're still friends. At that time, we hadn't moved into courtship, let me say so. But the two of us were very close. And for me, it was even a privilege he came to me. He asked me if like he told me he wants to move. I'm like, hey, bruh, you are in this Accra. You live with your parents. Okay, how old are you now? I knew his age, but I asked him, how old are you now? Now that you are going to you are going to rent like maybe chamber and hall and then buy things into it, how long will it take for you to get married? Then when you get married, you are now going to rent a 2 bedroom or a 3 bedroom house. Now this Accra, do you know how much rent is? Because me at that time, I've been renting since I came to Accra.
Accra
So me,
we
I know
did.
how costly it is to rent. I'm like, why don't you save? And then in the next year or two, when you're ready to marry, then you can just go and get a place. So for some reason, he listened to me. Why would he come and ask me? You see, you get to a stage where you develop trust for each other. You think that the person gives you good advice. You think that you can talk to this person. Now he wants to buy home appliances, and he comes to me and he says, "Oh, he even made me know that Compy Ghana does monthly promos." Then he sends me the things.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
like, okay,
Installmental,
then
whatever.
yeah, why
Mm.
don't you buy this one? And listen, me when I was telling him to buy it, it was with a biased, with a biased intention, because I liked him and I liked him. And when I was telling him to buy it, I knew that me worry na membre, me na washing machine.
Hey, 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 hey,
You
hey, hey.
understand? But it was no, but it was from a good heart. I mean, aside that one, worry me grandpa, when he decides to marry or when he decides to move from his parents' house, he has everything that he can start Abrabo with. You understand? So yes, there are stages in relationships, and you will know. You see, when you get there, you will know. Steve Harvey
Yes.
one time was advising one lady, and it was like the lady told him that, okay, so um my boyfriend said, like, I think the guy just said it, that he loved her, and the girl didn't know what that to say. In as much as the girl liked the guy too, she said she didn't want to say, she didn't know whether to respond the same way, or what should he be looking out for before she says whatever she wants to say. Then Steve Harvey gave comments, but one thing that stuck with me was, ask him, what would the person do without you? One day, if you decide to move on, what would the person do without you? You see, and you will realize that when you get to that stage, you like the person so much. And now, Samuel, you haven't fallen in love before. So you will know.
Man, woman of
Mrs.
God, are you
Yeboah, I'm sure when
prophesying
you were friends
or?
with Mr. Yeboah, when it got to that stage, you knew that you want to settle. You knew that you
Oh,
want to
yes,
move your
yes, yes.
relationship to this point. You see, me, my
Yes,
husband,
yes.
at some point, I told him, Master, where are we going? You see,
Well,
You
actually,
you
Mrs.,
will
are you
know.
there? Can you hear
I'm
me?
here.
Okay. So for these stages of um I think was it yesterday or today, I was telling someone close to me that who has just started seeing somebody.
Mm,
And so they're in the talking phase and all that. So I was telling the person that I know that you guys have started talking, but um you should have timelines, okay? Not that you'll be dating. That is how, and I told her that that is how people can be dating now 10 years. They
six
say they are
years.
still getting to know each other. But at least if you have a timeline that, oh, maybe um we will, especially when you know that you started dating, or will date for this while, or maybe I'm looking at getting married within these number of years or something. So that it's not like you are just going now, just going without any purpose, without any
Exactly.
timelines. You don't know where the relationship is going. So Sammy,
Exactly.
that's what we mean by the stages of a relationship, where like it's not like the relationship is just you are just allowing things to flow. I really do not
And
believe
yeah,
in
you are
that.
just friends and you are just
Allowing things
talking.
to
No,
flow.
there should be more to it. So that's why I mentioned the purpose of the relationship. You see, at some point you should know that no, I think if I get this person in my corner, it will be good forever. It will be good. Hello.
Okay, Mrs. Yes, I'm here. Okay, so I
Yeah.
want Vera wants to share an experience with us, and we are
Okay.
all about the experiences here on the dialogue. So Vera, if you can hear me, please quickly share your experience with us. It's about the investigation. No?
Yeah.
So, Mrs. Ado, please go on. Mrs. Ado, can you hear me? Hello, V. Oh, wow.
Or maybe if she goes and come back, she'll be able to talk.
Yeah, yes. Sabi, please leave and then come back. I'm sure you'll be able to talk then. Okay, so Mrs. Osuwedi, you continue. I'm sure when she comes back.
Okay. So one thing, one or two things I may want to add is future plans. Okay, we are individuals coming from different backgrounds and all that. So you need to know what the person's has in mind for the future. What are the future plans of the person? Do they align with yours? And okay, so let in getting to know the purpose of the relationship, and getting to know the let's say the belief and everything of the person, you need to know um what role the person is going to play in your marriage. Let me say in that relationship. You see, you need to know the person's future for the two of you. So if the person's future you think doesn't align with your purpose and is emphadia, then you may want to quickly step aside before going into it. If you think the person's, but if you can, if the person has, when the person mentions and tells you what their future plans are concerning their business, concerning their job, concerning their finances, everything, I'm putting all these things together. These are all parts of your future plans. So if if the person's purpose or their plans do not have you in it, don't go. If it does not have you in it, don't go, because it will be self-centered, and you will
Mm.
not be in their plan. You'll be trying to put yourself in their plan. So find out what the person's plan is for the two of you in the future,
Okay, Mrs. Please,
and then what
Vera
if
is back.
things
Let's
don't turn okay. Is she
yes,
back?
let's
Okay.
let's hear her. Then
Okay.
we can.
Hello, Raj, can you hear me?
We
Yes,
can
please, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, so Mrs. Owusu was talking about the investigation part, right? So there was this doctor that liked me. So every time I we speak, he will be like, "Oh, Vera, you can come to my house." The guy lived in Kumasi and I was in Accra. I said, "Okay." Every time this guy was saying I could come, but I knew his house though. So one day I just woke up. I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't call him. I just went straight to his house in Kumasi from Accra. And when I went, there was a lady
Wow.
cooking.
That's right.
Hey,
A
cooking.
lady opened the door and yeah, she was cooking. She was in shorts. So I said, "Hello, I'm looking for this doctor." He said, "Oh, yeah, who are you?" I said, "I'm his cousin."
Mm.
And aunties, because I knew his mom and his people. I said his auntie, I mentioned the mom's name, sent me to bring something to him. He said, "Okay, sit down, I'm calling him. He's at the emergency room." I said, "Okay." So the lady called him and said, "What's your name?" I even forgot to ask your name. I said, "Tell him Vera, the cousin Vera, Vera Norman." You know, the guy didn't call again.
Hi.
That was the last time.
That was the last time. And me, I left. I told the lady that when he comes, he should call me because Auntie says I should come for my school fees.
Mm.
So
Oh,
I'm
so what you
going.
know?
That was it. That was it. But now, like, we are cool. But every time he goes, like, you, what came into your mind for you to come all the way to Kumasi without calling me? I said, I had my reason. So the investigation part is really good. Every nick of it, everything. Make sure there are some important things you have to know, especially what kind of work he does. What sometimes just appear and disappear. So that is a good point Mrs. Owusu raised, and I wanted to share my story with you. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Vera. But I think that we'll come back to this. Mrs. You let's finish, then we'll come, because sometimes too, I think that this investigation, some people take it quite to the extreme where I don't know, where it looks more like an insecurity. So I don't know where we draw the line. Maybe we can get
Oh,
into that
I-
later.
if
But you
if the
let's
person
finish
is
up with these
insecure,
points, and then maybe
if you are
we
insecure, leave
can
the
get.
relationship. If you are insecure, leave the relationship. Be in a relationship where you are comfortable. You know that um they we may flip, okay, the men may flip, the women may flip, but the point is, be in a relationship where you are comfortable, not that you are always being snoopy, looking for things. No, 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 no. We are not talking about that. We want to be sure
Okay.
that what you said, you are the work you said you are doing it. You said you love me, you said there's no one, especially with a distant relation, they fire. Okay. But Vera, you did well. So I'll come back to my future plans. So it's important that you are part of the person's future plans. And then what I was going to talk about is um get the two of you should talk about when things don't go as you plan. You see, when you're in when you are dating, you are in a romantic relationship and you're looking forward to marriage and everything is falling in place, you are doing your counseling, you're about to marry, everything looks rosy. But and even when you get married and things are okay, you never know when things will switch. There are times people marry and things go very well for them, 5 years, 10 years, and just after 10 years, 5 years, things begin to fall apart. And by the time you realize, the woman is gone, the man is gone, and there's no marriage. We should learn,
Hmm.
we should talk about in situations where, what if children don't come early. So that's why I talked about talking about your expectations and talking about maybe even the number of children you want to have. What is your expectation in this marriage? If children don't come, what how would you feel?
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah.
marry because of companionship. If God blesses me with children, praise the Lord, which He did, and I'm grateful. But and that is why sometimes I say that my husband is better with the kids than me. I don't do well handling them. Like if a come and you will fear, hey, and easy. But my husband does well. I try
Mm.
my best, but he does very, very well. Nkwalaa nyɛ me deɛ, but my husband does well. For me, I had the intention of marrying for companionship. Somebody I can talk to, somebody I can be angry at, somebody I can easily forgive, somebody we can do everything together. You see, and and if you talk about these things, it's good because when things switch or when things go south, as they say it, you'll be able to withstand the storm. You'll be able to stand together, hold each other up, and then in prayer in every way. And then you'll be able to come back together. And that's the beauty of being in a relationship. That's the beauty of marriage. When that's the beauty of two people being together. So that when one goes down, one holds the other up. But if you don't talk about it and things begin to go south and now obi enim nea ɔyɛ, what are we doing? That's why you have to talk about your future, your financial
Yeah.
succession plans,
Yeah.
your everything. Like just talk about your future plans. And as you are talking about future plans, infuse the shock absorbers.
Mm.
What you would do in case things don't turn out how you want them to be. I think I'll end here.
Wow. Wow, Mrs. Thank you so much. But something just came to mind. There are people in relationships where they cannot talk. Like they cannot
Hey,
talk about issues. Yeah. They feel like, hey, it's too sensitive. Hey, na me kana ni bufu, hey, what if he gets upset? With this thing, no,
and so
because
say it and let
sometimes
the person
maybe,
get upset and know how the person reacts.
and you see, so they are, and for a lot of people, they are afraid to lose the person. And to raise an issue that has the potential to get them upset there. And they will rather keep quiet and go and marry and suffer inside. But
No, no, no.
I I I have learned that um a lot of us spend time planning on having a beautiful wedding
Mm,
when we should focus more on building a strong marriage. It
exactly.
is nice to have a nice wedding. A nice wedding there, we all want some. We all
Mm,
want some. But it is important that we have certain conversations that have the potential to um, either move the relationship forward, or sometimes when you're having these conversations you realize that, nah, I don't think that I can do life, because marriage is for life ultimately. So sometimes you have these conversations and then you realize that no, it really isn't what I thought it was. And so, I mean, I would like to read some of the comments, but before then, like I do most of the time, my biological father, who is here currently, Mr. Kobna Isumandadi, thank you so much for joining always. I always ask him for points. And so these were some of the things that he mentioned to me: expectations, finances. Mrs. Boadi has spoken about expectations. She touched lightly on finances, but Mrs., I think we should go a little deeper when it comes to the finances. And I
okay.
just want to um, give an example
Mm,
and set this thing right. Marriage and relationships are supposed to be a ground where we can both learn,
mm-hmm.
where we can both learn. So, if this person is someone who thinks that you have nothing to offer, or there's nothing for him or her to learn from you, or you also think that they don't really have anything to teach you, then I'm afraid you are not at the right place. I'm
Exactly. The
afraid you are
Bible
not at
says
the right
iron
place.
sharpeneth iron. So if you feel
Yes,
the
iron
other
sharpness
person
iron.
can't improve you make you improve, you feel the person can't give you any
Yes,
criticize you positively, if you can't also take positive criticism for you to change some lifestyle, then you are not for that
yeah,
person, the person is not for you.
you are not for each other.
Yeah.
You're not for each other at all. Because before we got married, and my husband, I think, I'm sure he noticed this thing before he noticed it before we got married. I was a spendthrift, like Charlie. I was an independent woman. I was when working at the bank, so I was making money. So I felt like I've worked for the money. Let me eat it. I have worked for the money. Let me chop the thing.
My AD.
I will buy, yes, everything I see that I like. And then he was my friend and all that. So when we started planning our wedding, and a friend of mine, Erisi, was helping with the planning. And so we'll bring a budget, we'll bring a plan. So he will say that we're the underplate. What is it for? Eh, are we not going to have napkins already on the table? The underplate, will they eat in it? I said no. So what is the point? So it's just to make the thing nice. My husband will scrap it. Hey, this one he will scrap it. Say, hey, this man, what is happening here? He doesn't want the thing to be nice. And I mean, I nearly got upset about it. But then we sat down and then he told me that, look, I will not have a wedding and run at a loss. No. If anything, I want to make money from my wedding.
Mm.
So let us not waste money on things that are not. I mean, if you can afford them, of course,
Yeah, of course.
go on. But if you cannot afford, then please just relax and work within your budget. So what I'm saying is that I've been able to learn
It
when
reminds
it
me
comes
of my
to,
wedding. My husband.
yeah,
Okay,
Charlie.
so I wanted a particular car. Okay, so after everything, the car we were going to use. It's funny. The Then I said, okay, so if you can't afford, then you, I think at that time Hyundai Sonata was ish. It wasn't so bad at that time. I said, okay, then let's
Mm.
use Sonata. So always when if he wants to tease me, say, oh, Sona.
Oh,
He's like, oh, Sona.
Charlie,
You see, but at the end of the
it's
day, I
not
mean,
easy.
we got someone, my sister-in-law's husband,
Yeah,
he is into cars, so he gave us a Benz to use. It just came to
yeah,
mind. I'm
and
I'm just laughing.
you know, it was during the process of our wedding planning that I mean, I already had great respect for him and
Mm.
all that. It was during that period, and I realized that Charlie, yedi mechia anka, we will
We
just
blow
be spending
cash.
unnecessarily.
We blow cash.
So the two of you need to identify, even between the two of you, who is more of the saver, who is
Mm.
more of the spender.
Mm-hmm.
One person should be a check on the other. This afternoon, I was watching a video. I forgot Reverend Okay and his wife, and
Mm.
she was saying that the husband then was a spendthrift, so she
Wow.
had to be the check. In my case, I was the spendthrift and my husband had to be the chick. So there should be a balance. If both of you are spendthrift, then Charlie, how are you
That's
going to
always.
manage your home?
Oh, but there's
Especially
always
when
a
children
balance.
start coming
The
in.
way for some reason the way God does it, one is calm, one is harsh,
That
one
is
is
that is
expensive. For
that
some
is if
reason,
it
for
is God
some
who did
reason,
it.
for some reason.
Mrs. That is if it is God who did it, because some of the relationships is God doesn't know anything about it too. So really, I mean, that's the point I wanted to make. And then
Yeah.
my father spoke about in-laws,
Mm.
in-laws, how, I mean, yes, your relationship with your in-laws and
Mm.
all those things. Then children, how
Mm.
you want to raise your children, how many children you want to have. In fact, if you want to have children at all, because there are people working in this Ghana
It's true.
who do not want to have children,
Mm.
and so it is important that you talk about it. Not that I know somebody who got married and then the marriage ended within a year because apparently the man said he didn't want children and she didn't know from the beginning. And she wanted children. So, I mean, it wouldn't work. But if it was something that they had spoken about earlier,
Yeah.
then
They
yes, she could have
might have
known.
even agreed on one child, and it would have been okay.
Yes, yes, yes. So if you talk about it and this person says, "Oh, I want three," this one says, "I want four," he said, "Oh, okay, you let's bargain. Let's come to three or two or
Mm.
something." Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Then you work around that. Then where to live? Where
Yes, I
to
think I
live?
forgot that. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
I had that
Maybe,
point
I
also.
mean, one of you was raised in Accra, the other was raised in Kumasi. The Accra person thinks that Charlie, everything is happening in Accra. Let's stay in Accra. The Kumasi person thinks that Kumasi, life in Kumasi is easier. So let's stay in Kumasi. So the two of you need to talk about it. Or even if the person, one of them is overseas and the other is in Ghana, where do you want to build your family at?
Yeah, yeah.
Where you want to
And for
worship. I
me,
think you mentioned that.
yeah, for me,
Oh, please go
is
back.
I
Please go on.
wanted us, I wanted us to be close to their his parents because of the children.
Okay.
Because for me, my
Okay.
parents are in
Okay.
Kumasi.
I'm
Um,
Kumasi. Yes.
if I give birth after 3 months, I have to go to work.
Go
Who's
to
going to take
work.
care of my child? My
Mm,
child. So for
mm,
me, I
mm.
wanted to get closer, and even till now, we are so close to them. We are so
So,
close to them, so
yeah.
that it's easy
Yeah.
for me
So
to
that's
drop
what
them
works
in
for
cases
you.
where, yeah. So yeah, that's what worked for us. And so
Mm,
really, and even till now, if we have to change, when we were even changing where when we're changing houses where we live right now, we still have to talk about it, and we still maintain that we get a bit closer to the family, because
mm,
we still
mm,
don't have a help. And in cases I am the busy
mm,
one, and even he that he's not the busy one, his work sometimes don't bring him home early. So in cases where
mm.
we will not be home early, or we have to be somewhere, who takes
Yeah.
care of the
Yeah.
child, of
Yeah.
the children? So
Yeah.
we are so
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
to them. So it was actually a
Very
point that I had.
necessary.
So you really have to talk about it. You really have to talk about it.
Mm, mm. And then I think the final thing that my dad sent was conflict resolution. And it's one thing that we hardly talk about. But I think that it's important that the two of you come to an agreement that when we fight, no one you will not go and sleep in another room. We will stay in the same room. Yes. When we fight, you will not drive and go and sleep somewhere else. We will stay in the same house and resolve the issue. Yes. When we fight, and maybe if my husband or I misbehave, who is the authority over me that can, I mean, when we have done all we can and things are still not working, who do we speak to? I think that it's important that we talk about these things. But I saw something in the comment section that I would like to read.
Okay.
Nora, I saw Nora put something there. She said, don't you think talking about this is quite overrated, considering the fact that your spouse to be will tell you what you want to hear? Like, if you ask your spouse to be what he will do when there are no kids, it's easy for your spouse to be to say, I'll support. But that may not be the case in reality. Mrs. Did you get that?
I get it. You see, but it's not overrated. I don't think it's
No,
overrated.
it's not right.
I don't
Mm-mm.
think, you see, communication is the key in every form of relationship, even in the work environment. Communication is the
Mm-hmm.
key. Now, when we talk about it, that is why I said in the beginning that you need to be truthful during this period.
Yeah.
And so you may want to start by saying that I don't want any flowery let me say flowery comment, or flowery I want there's a word I want to use, but I need you to be very frank with me. These are future issues. These are things that may happen. These are things that are bound to happen, and I need to have your candid opinion. Okay, how would you feel if we marry and there are no kids for like 5 years? You see, how are you going to take it? If people start talking, how are you sure you are not going to, but you see, before even you ask this, you know that you know that this person is easily moved by other people's voices. You will know the person is your friend, has been your friend. When him say when any kasa otie wo voice, and now say when any kasa okuti other people before taking yours, or will take the others, you will know.
You
And
will
so
know. You will
if
know.
you
That's
you
true.
even asking, suppose say, don't you think ebi a wo maame kasa, now papa kasa, is going to be a bother and is going to be a strain on our relationship. You yourself, you know how the person behaves. But the point is, these things also must be talked about.
Yes.
If you don't talk about it, you are going to face it a much bigger problem in future.
Yeah.
But if you talk
Yeah.
about it and things begin to change,
At least
at
there'll
least
be
there
a
are some
reference
shock
point.
absorbers. You see, say better cool 5 years put now be wa mobet me 3 years. But if you don't talk about it, after 1 year you start having conflict. After 1 year you start, but say more kasa about it we won't say maybe a 1 year 2 years and shut down bother 3 years after maybe na kasa start your babe, but by that time no be a more 4 years. But yes, you're right, this will be more be or worry or be more my one tip. I say, but
Amen. Oh,
I don't think it's
amen. Amen.
overrated. I don't think so. You
Yeah.
need to talk about it. You really need to talk about
Yeah.
it. It saves
Yeah.
you. It helps as you talk about it. Then you pray about it. It helps.
Mm,
It really helps.
mm, mm, mm. And I don't think it's overrated either. I don't think so either. Um, and Nora, it's also about the way you go about it. Don't it shouldn't be like an interview where
Mechanic.
uh-huh. I think that it's as a interview, some formal. No, it's a conversation that you need to have. Oh, like Charlie babe, now we are getting closer. Oh. So we need to have certain conversations. And really, if the two of you have been friends, it should be easy to have.
Easy. Yeah, exactly.
It should be easy to have if you have built a friendship. Okay. Anyway, Sarah said some people just believe in people too much that we fail to question them and not necessarily scared of losing the person. Okay, that's also true. When I spoke about people maybe afraid to lose their partners, sometimes people are just, they just believe that, oh, Nimpe, he looks like a good Christian. Oh, he sings in church until I'm not sure, say, obetumi ayesa or something. She says appearances can be deceptive, so don't just accept or believe what you are told, especially when in doubt. I agree with you, Sarah. Vera also says, Nora, great submission, but sometimes the way some sell themselves is how they are bought. Yeah, if you put the fear of God in the person will think twice before switching on you.
Exactly.
You know the fear face that you want to change what you have said earlier. Okay, so Debbie also has a question. She says, please, what happens when one person is making more than the other in marriage? Great, great. And later the husband or wife makes you feel like you are not helping because you bring too little to the table. Mrs. I would like you to answer that question. Did you get it, please?
Please come again.
She says, what happens when one person is making more money than the other in marriage, and later the husband or wife makes you feel as if you are not helping because you bring too little to the table.
Okay. Okay. So I wish the person could talk, but you see, if the other person is earning more and you're not earning maybe as much as the person, there are other things you can do to up the support. So if I'm earning more, it doesn't mean you should so if the woman is, let me use the woman, if the woman is earning more, that doesn't mean the person should tell the husband to go to the kitchen and go and cook all the time. In between, if the husband will come and cook for you, that is beautiful. In between, obeboa na ma yɛ aduane, obeboa na ma wo ho nkukum is fine. But if the person is not earning much, but will support you by taking care of the kids, but will support you by maybe doing other things in the house to support you, I don't think it will be that the person will come out really and say that you're not bringing much to the table, because you may be bringing a lot of money, but it's not doing the work. When you bring the money,
I like
the
that.
money,
I
the
like
money
that,
needs,
Farm.
the money needs to be used to be worked into. No, it depends on how things are really going on in that house for the person to come out and say that, unless the person is not grateful for something that the other party does. You see.
Hmm. I
I
also
think
think
we
that
need to know what is going on in that house to be able to tell.
yeah, yeah, and I also think that most of the time we measure the value of our spouses by how much money they
Monetary.
bring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that I think that that is really wrong,
It is.
because when my husband and I mean we agreed before we married.
Mm,
Let me even give my sister as an example. Before they married, her husband was working in a bank,
mm,
so the two of them agreed that she won't also work in a bank, because they want to have at least one person to have time for the kids.
mm.
So they agreed that she would do something that will be a little more flexible,
Flexible. Mm,
that will not, yes, that a job that won't require her to close as late as the husband does,
mm,
so that at every point in time, there's one of them taking care of the home or taking care of the kids. So that was what they agreed on. My husband and I agreed after our first child, because I was working in the bank and his job was also quite demanding. And so we didn't see how we're going to, um, it was going to work with our kids. So then we agreed that I stay at home and take care of the kids, not that I do nothing and all that.
mm,
But the thing really, I think the issue comes in when maybe the spouse who is not, let's say, bringing money home is
mm-hmm.
also maybe spending carelessly. It
Exactly.
could bring
And
an
not being
issue.
supportive at home.
Uh-huh. And not being supportive. And not being supportive. Maybe you are not bringing any money home, or you're not bringing much, and at the same time you're also spending too much, or you're not being supportive, then your spouse will have a cause to
A big
complain.
issue. Yeah.
But I want to speak to our men especially. If both of you agree that your wife should stay at home and take care of the kids, please don't come and turn around and behave as if um they have become a burden on you, especially if the woman is not spendthrift or anything, because both of you came into an agreement. And so don't turn around and now come and sound as if she has become a burden. And also to our women, let us also try, even if let's find a way to make some money. So if you attend Spirit Life like I do, Charlie, trade forex. Learn something. Uh-huh. Because
Mm,
yes, because a lot of times from the beginning they'll be okay with you staying at home, and I
mm,
mean they taking care of you. But
mm.
our men get overburdened sometimes, and typical African men, they will not talk, but you can see that they are suffering.
Yeah.
And so let's also try and do something that will bring at least something home, so that we can also sort out small things, so that you cannot be going to him for 10 cedis to buy tomatoes.
I was going to say that when the men ask us to stay home, please pay us.
Oh, thank you. Can you repeat that?
They should pay us. Me, the day my husband doesn't want me to stay because me the day he tells me to stay home. Oh, you will pay me. You have to
Okay.
pay me because I
All
should be
right.
earning.
Can
Oh, I should be earning.
yes. All right. So if you have any contribution or any question, I would ask that you kindly raise your hand so that I make you a speaker, so I can quickly share your thoughts with us, or you can put it in the chat box and we will read it out. Okay, Thelma says that I am the table, but no money. Make the money and put it on here, the table. Mhm.
Mm.
Okay, so this evening, if we don't have any more to say, I think that we'll just call it a night. Mrs., do you have any closing remarks, please?
Oh no, I think we've exhausted all the points. Not all, but most of the things that we need to discuss as a would-be couple, and even people who have already said the I do's. Do well to talk more. I think communication is just the issue. So we should do well to talk more. People change anyway. So don't think that what you discussed before the wedding or the marriage, it may stay as it is. So that's why when the lady mentioned that, what if the person decides that, okay, now after 3 years I can't stay without a child. People change, and so continuous communication would do, it would help. So let's continue to talk. Let's continue. Communication is never overrated. Communication actually is like our host said, is the way you go about it. You see, the men really don't want to come. You see, they always have cold feet, especially when they have committed to you. I'm talking to the ladies. So if you are
Hmm.
going to talk to them about certain things, I don't know why they do that anyway. They would have taken their decision. But the next time you are talking to them and you want to have some information, they will ask you, but why are you asking this? Why? But madam, ask the question. um they will answer, but also the way you go about it, you see, that would make them give you the answer that you really need to get. And amen, please don't sugarcoat your thoughts for us. Tell us as it is. If you want
Hmm.
to continue with you,
Yeah.
we will go with you. If you need us to support you, be blunt about it. Let us know that you need a support. Tell us about some of the things that we should be looking out for, with regards maybe our sisters-in-laws, the brothers that you have, maybe how your parents, not to say don't tell us that they are bad or anything, but like how we should maybe how we should behave around them when
Handle
we are
them.
there and all that. You see, it helps so that we don't have issues with our in-laws. We are able to live happily with them, and it doesn't bring any problem between you and I, because we really want to have a fruitful relationship, marital relationship. We want to live together till they do us part. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Mrs. I've seen a question in the comment section. I want to read it. Um, where is Oriku? Okay, so he says, I want to ask if both partners are working in different areas and both earn enough money, who should sacrifice to move?
Talk about it. You see, it's not just about the
That's
money.
it.
It's not just about the money. That is what we were talking about initially. Don't look at the monetary. Don't value things in the monetary alone. You see, okay, you're all earning what they earning 2,000. But maybe the man's 2,000 doesn't come with any benefits. You understand? But the lady's 2,000 comes with maybe a Tom card for fuel, um, medical bills, like an insurance card that will cover you, my husband, and even maybe our three children. Sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three. And maybe my company maybe pay your position. Your company can give you a car. So if you the man you quit, what will be wrong? There's nothing wrong. If everything is at the same you have the same salary, you have the same benefits, think about it. Okay, but before you tell me to come home, if you before you tell your wife to come home, because maybe everything is the same, you all have a car, um you all have the same medical insurance, you all have some form of benefit plus your salary and everything. um if you think about it, when the lady comes home, okay, what would the person be doing in clinical school? What would the lady be doing? Can you set the person up for some business? Is there any other thing the person can do aside a 9 to 5 job? So talk about it. If you can set her up, if she can do maybe some small business, set her up and let her come home so that she has some time to some form of freedom. Inti or the nkwana beko school be wobeko ejuma no pa or no the nkwana beko school no ko the ejuma about 3 years or two and answer baby a obepon no abefi. Or do you have to get a nanny? Do you have to get help in the house? Maybe it's not necessarily that the two of you should come home. But you can get a nanny, a living nanny, and let the person be there. Train the person how you want. And then after school in Kolani Bebe Field, there's somebody there, so there's somebody who would have cooked for them, who would do other things. So the two of you will still be there. But weekends, make sure that you are there for your children. Holidays, you are there for your children. During their vacation, you are there for your children. I mean, talk about it. Not necessarily one should come home. Talk about it. What are the alternatives that you can have? Just discuss.
Thank you, Mrs. Thank you, Mrs. So, Oriko, I think it's all about communication. The two of you should be able to talk and reach a consensus, reach an agreement that, okay, although this person earns more, it's more convenient for both of us this way. Okay, so Sylvia wanted to say something. So Sylvia, you're a speaker now, so you can make your point within the next minute or two. Thank you. Hello, Sylvia. Okay, so I don't know what's happening, but she's not speaking. So our time is up. We'll end here. Thank you all so much for joining this evening. Thank you so much. God richly bless you all. Bye bye.